Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Cast Revive, your weekly top 5 gaming podcast, and more. I'm your host, Matt Heimerl, and here with the man that couldn't be a villain if he tried, Mr. Brian Husky.
Hi.
What a way to start it out, dude. Battle on the Big Bridge.
Yeah.
And this is from Black Mages.
This is the Black Mages version, yeah.
This is freaking awesome, dude. Like, it's
It
beautiful.
is good.
It's beautiful. And this week, since we're continuing our character month, we're going to be talking about villains.
Yeah.
So our top 5 villains, and we got a pretty interesting list. I know you kind of laughed at mine, especially in the order. But I think I have a strong case, and we'll see if people deal with us or agree with me, or once again call me an idiot.
That's the point of a top 5.
That is the point of a top 5.
Is to call someone an idiot for their choices.
Yeah, I don't agree with you. You're a piece of crap. That's okay though. We love everyone. Hey, if people are interacting with us, I'll take it, whether it be good or bad. So
Yeah. all news is good news. All crap is good crap.
That's right.
No.
That's
okay. Sorry, I tried.
So before we jump into that list, got a couple little news things. I would say the biggest out of all of this, though, would be the Titanfall beta, Titanfall 2 beta.
Titanfall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you get a chance to try it?
I installed it and I haven't looked at it.
I tried it.
Okay.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah?
So far, I did just the pilot match, so no mechs. I didn't mess with that.
So you played Call of Duty?
But essentially Call of Duty, yes. But they really added a lot of really cool like abilities and stuff like that. The best is the grappling hook, dude. Like you're jumping from a building, you throw the grappling hook out, and you can literally like swing on it and shoot people. Like I can see people getting absolutely crazy with how good you can get with that.
Normally you're a mech though, right? So
well, you have both.
Yeah, both.
You're a pilot until your thing charges, then you call down your mech and
like
you
a
get
power up.
Yeah.
Is it limited, or you get it until it's destroyed?
You get it until it's destroyed.
Okay.
Or, like, I don't know if they have it in this game, but in the first one, you could put it on autopilot mode. So you could run around, and your mech will just, like, follow you or do its own thing. So if you don't want to be a pilot, you just want to... So you can have both of them going at the same time. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then, like, the Titans, are supposed to have more abilities and stuff like that. So... I had a lot of fun with it. It was pretty cool. Titanfall was the reason I got my Xbox originally, because I absolutely loved it. So hopefully this one will do a lot better. So
I originally got my Xbox for Destiny.
Yeah,
garbage.
I loved it. Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, it wasn't your cup.
Just
of
not
tea.
my thing. Yeah, not for me.
You've never been a big space shooter type guy, anyway. Even Halo and stuff like that.
I like space and I like shooters. I just don't like them together. They're boring. Yeah. I like space survival and I like real shooters. I guess you could say, or time splitters too.
Yeah. What's that one space survival game you used to play? It was like it felt like a Sims game. You were in like a ship, and like you had to upgrade like different sections of it, and like
the closest thing that I can think
game?
of is FTL. Yeah.
FTL, yeah, FTL.
That was like survival strategy.
Yeah, that looked kind of cool.
No, like buying food and like running out of food, but,
right?
Still.
Yeah. You had on here the Nuka World expansions coming out for Fallout 4. What is that all about?
So Nuka World is a theme park set in the world of Fallout 4, which it sounds amazing because if you think of the Fallout 4 universe, like imagine what a theme park would be set in that post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Come here and try to have some fun.
Yeah, just try. Hey, like that.
Oh yeah, Legend of Dragoon, baby.
It seems to pop up pretty frequently, doesn't it?
Yes, I know. We love our Dragoon.
I mean, we're the hosts and we have some classics.
That's right. Classics.
But yeah, so I don't know the full details of what Nuka World will be, but I just find it like after the initial expansions, which have all been like about robots, about like technology, and then there was one about the last one, Far Harbor, had like a lot of H.P. Lovecraft themes, so it's kind of horror heavy.
Right.
And now they go to a theme park.
That's awesome.
So,
are you designing it? Is it like you just go and there's quests to do? Oh, have they not revealed that much yet?
They probably revealed a lot of it. I just didn't do too much research on it. But I'm pretty sure you won't be building a theme park. You could. Maybe you will.
You go and there's like a bunch of mutants trying to get off my rides, you mutants. They just hire you to
mean,
exterminate all of them.
What if that's the case? Like Superman's going, 2 for the big tall ride, please. And you gotta like collect tickets and like sell popcorn.
That would be so unexpected and awesome. That would be great.
It would definitely be unexpected.
There's no killing allowed. Well, you just have to,
no killing, just
it's just
fun.
It's just based on your personality, how high.
Fallout clowns.
That would be awesome.
Ugh.
Fallout clowns. Wow, that'd be
awful.
I don't know if I could handle that.
I wouldn't be playing it.
And No Man's Sky issues.
So everybody's unhappy with the way it's come out.
Yep.
And they're more unhappy with Hello Games not issuing any statements on it.
Right.
I think they finally did, promise to address some of the issues, but people are, complaining about like no true multiplayer, about the length and breadth of the galaxies and everything like that being not what they were promised. And, like my thing is, it's a really small group of people. They've done like a really colossal thing, and if it takes them a little while to flesh it out and like fulfill their initial promises or whatever, let them do it. Like,
right.
You bought the game, so deal with it. MFs.
The biggest thing I read that people were upset with was they found a certain animal on a planet, went to another one, they found the same one, just different skin. So it's like there wasn't that much difference in the creature models. I think that's what people were really upset with, because they were expecting like every planet had something unique, which they still might. They just might not have found it yet.
Yeah.
But they're like, all right, I just traveled like 60 million light years to this planet, and there's the same exact creature, just brown instead of yellow. Like
you're gonna run into planets which are the same, except one will have brown dirt and one will have pink dirt. Like, what do you expect? They have so many resources that they can fit in one game. Mm-hmm. The fact that they're talking about quintillions of planets, like even if they're just different colors, you know, okay.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know, that could be the one planet that has a duplicate. You know, so I mean, I agree. I mean, they took on a project that was so massive in scale that hasn't been done. So I agree. We have to wait and see. We have to wait and see what they want to do with it. But I mean, we have to agree that this game was probably the most hype of 2016.
Definitely biggest hype, and probably also the biggest disappointment to fans.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
I hope they fix it. I hope they make people happy. Nobody likes a disgruntled gamer, but
there are a lot of us out there.
There's only so much they can do. Yeah. Give us base building.
Yeah.
Like to colonize a planet is different than like to just go out and explore and name it.
Right.
Right. That's the big distinction to me. Put food in the game. I want to eat. Like, I guess you collect carbon to eat, and that sustains your hunger or whatever. It's kind of boring.
Yeah.
I want to make like space soup.
I want a Monster Hunter sit and spin a wheel with music playing until the meat is ready. Like, yes, this is awesome.
Best cooking in any game.
I don't know if it's toxic, but I'm gonna love it.
Top 5 cooking methods. Coming up soon.
We just got a new episode for cooking. That's our theme for September is cooking.
Oh, jeez.
So, I love it. Well, good. I hope they fix it. We'll give the game's not even a month old.
Yeah,
so
there's
we'll
time.
Give them some time to really address some of these issues and see what happens. Like Division had a lot of time to address it, and they just made stuff so much worse. So much worse. So give this game at least a month before there's
completely turning off the switch.
Yeah, exactly. So let's jump into our top 5 here.
Woo!
I'm going to let you go first again, because your lists just are always so much far superior to mine.
Thanks for that allowance.
No problem.
I dished up a little chart to help us rate these villains.
Oh, okay, I like it.
Because you're talking about bad guys, and I guess there's always like a critique of the bad guy and how evil or not they were.
Right.
So I found this online. It's a chart that I see floating around all the time. It divides villains into 6 tiers. Okay, so we'll start at the bottom. You have the aptly named shit tier. Okay, and it shows a picture of Ganondorf.
Nice.
Villains who are just evil or lust for power. So
yeah.
I mean that's like the primal drive. It's old. It's cliche. Whatever.
Right.
Then you have the meh tier. Villains whose motives are a mystery and seem almost insane at times. It's got a picture of the Joker and Hannibal Lecter.
Nice.
Okay. Then it's got mid-tier, and with 6 tiers, having the 4th tier be the mid-tier is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But whatever. Villains who are only obeying their nature or doing what they need to do to survive. And it shows a picture of Lavos.
Oh.
And what is this thing's name? The guy from Earthbound. The final boss from that.
I never played Earthbound. I know.
It's a giant.
I'm one of those
fetus.
gamers. It's a giant fetus.
You go on. You have the high tier. Shows a picture of Magneto. Villains who are retaliating against misdeeds done to them. They may be seeking to change society as a whole.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's a good villain, I think. Great tier. Reluctant villains who only do evil things because of the situation they find themselves in. It shows a picture of Mr. Freeze.
Interesting.
And an old man. I don't know who that is.
Just random old dudes. Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn, young punks. And then you have the Elder God tier, and it shows a picture of Ozymandias from The Watchmen comic book. Villains whose motives are hard to find fault in and arguably better than the heroes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there you go. Those are our 6 tiers. We'll kind of loosely apply them to our villains, I guess.
Nice.
So first I had Plague Knight from the Shovel Knight games.
Shovel Knight's cool.
Shovel Knight's a fun game. It's a hard game. I couldn't really get into it that much until I found out they let you play Plague Knight as one of the
awesome.
playable characters. That you can unlock the ability to play him. Plague Knight is pretty bad as a villain. Like, he's just garbage. Like, he's cowardly, he's disloyal, and he's more of a nuisance than anything. He doesn't even like his own other villains, and none of them like him. So I thought that was kind of funny. And he's also a little nebbish in that he has a crush on his lab assistant, and the lab assistant actually likes him, but he's too much of a coward to approach her. So
nice. Best villain. So he's an Elder God tier, right?
He's Elder God tier. Yeah. He doesn't come across as evil. He just maybe, I would say, mid-tier. He's just obeying his nature. Like, he's a coward, and he acts out as a coward.
Nice.
But yeah, I find it really cool that you have the ability to play him because alchemy is my thing.
Yeah.
You hop around the stage, throw bombs and stuff like that. Tons of fun.
Was he a DLC, or is it when you beat it you unlocked him?
I think it's kind of both.
Okay.
I don't think you pay for the DLC, but they added him in a patch later on.
Oh, okay.
So there is a method to unlock him before beating the game, or you can beat the game and play as him.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, as his list of atrocities, I had him as disloyal, cowardly, and just being a nuisance.
Nice.
So
very good, number 5.
Thanks.
I think I might want to go through and actually play in entirety. I played some of it on the Wii U and stuff like that.
Shovel Knight.
Yeah,
definitely.
It seemed really fun.
If you can do those kinds of games, I can't anymore. I just can't do platformers.
Yeah.
So when it when it gets really Mega Man, I can't.
Well, that'll be something that I'll watch you play, and we'll go through it. We'll go through it together, and then you can do the same thing with me for the millions of games that I'm missing out on.
Well,
my backlog
there's only so much
my
time.
backlog is unbelievably large.
They make 15 games a week.
Yeah.
It's not like you can keep up with them.
Yeah, but I've been gaming. I mean, I have NES games that I still have to go through. Where's the? I'm running out of excuses here. Other than I just need to sit down and do it. So
you'll get to them.
Put Rocket League down for an hour, and I'll go try going through some of them.
Yeah, quit playing those kinds of games.
Yeah, what a nerd. All right, my number 5 is Alduin from Skyrim.
Nice.
The Uber Elder Dragon.
Very good.
And the reason I put him on here, and really the only reason I put him on here, is because how many games do you know of where you face the final, the villain of the game in the very, very beginning? You're literally encountering him as soon as you create your character.
Yeah.
And and you see just the power and destruction that this guy has, and throughout the whole game you're just kind of learning more about him and his backstory and why is he back? Because he was supposed to be frozen in time and stuff like that, and then instead he was ported to the future and
crazy dragons.
Yeah, crazy dragons.
Travel.
All this Elder Scroll time dragon stuff, crazy. But it's just he's just so cool, and when you have the conversations with him when you're battling against him, he just sounds so evil and badass. Just the real dark.
That's how he sounds.
That's how he sounds.
Jeez.
But you played Skyrim. I mean,
I did.
We both played it, and they have the new HD remake coming out.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
So I'm really interested to see what it looks amazing. And the fact that they added mod support, which is really cool, because apparently they added something. I've seen people streaming it, but I didn't see exactly what they were streaming for it. But it looked like there was a new like mod or something that was out that people have been playing
for
Skyrim.
For Skyrim?
For Elder Scrolls. So
on the PC or
on the PC, yeah.
I'm sure there's new mods all the time, but there's like a new popular one. You mean?
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be on the Xbox when they release that.
They should. They should include all like anything that's out there for the game through PC World. Hopefully, consoles will be able to get as well because that just increases the longevity of these games. I mean, the mods they've done for these games are absolutely hilarious. Some of them,
a lot of them are.
Yeah, sound effects and everything. It's just like fart noises and all kinds of crazy stuff. I'll play through Skyrim.
Fart noises.
You replace all vocal with just fart
farts.
tracks. That would be
okay.
That is me being about as mature as a man can get.
Well, we'll get to maturity a little bit later.
Yeah. It's the simple things in life that make me smile, and apparently flatulence is one of them. So.
You know what Alduin's like big flaw was? Is he didn't kill you when you were like level 1.
Right.
Like he waited until much later to try, and then by then it was too late. You're just a wrecking ball.
I read a funny glitch that when the game first came out, right when you're going up the tower, and he usually pops in and breathes that flame right through the tower there.
Yeah.
Sometimes he doesn't come, so you look outside, you just see him like sitting on like a ledge, just like looking at people, like not doing anything. You'll just sit there.
Just his eyes move.
Yeah, and then you have to reset the game, and then it fixes it. But there was a glitch. It's like, all right, what is this dude gonna attack me? Or wait, he's literally just sitting there like a gargoyle on a perch, just like chilling. That was
nice.
I thought that was pretty funny. So Alduin, Skyrim, big dragon, badass, mainly because you face him right in the very beginning, and you don't really know who that is or what's going on, and to come to realize that was actually your final confrontation. So.
He's a lot bigger than all the other dragons, right?
A lot bigger.
Yeah.
And he decimated that town. Oh, another game we never ever talk about.
What game is this?
This is. Wait, give me. This is I think Breath of Fire.
Breath of Fire.
Yeah.
The third one.
People are just like, no, you're such an idiot. This is One-Winged Angel.
If anybody takes us seriously, shame on them.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. Come on now, people. Get with it. So, my number 5. Number 5s were good. I'm going to give that one to you because...
One-winged dragon.
I'm going to give that round to you.
Where would you place him on our scale, our tier?
Oh, he's got to be that Elder God.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You can't find a fault in his motives?
Well, I mean...
what is his motive? Doesn't he want to like eat all of the ghosts in Sovngarde?
He just wants
or
to
something?
like avenge and like bring like his dragon brethren like out, but like I don't think he's trying to like support his like people. His not people, but I mean his race and stuff like that. I don't think he's out to like.
So maybe high tier. He's retaliating. Is it retaliating?
I think
villain?
I would allow that.
All right.
I would allow that. Good job. I don't have that list in front of me. I just assumed Elder God Dragon, Elder God tier, but then again, my
Elder God, Elder Dragon, nice.
My logic is not that.
Nicol Bolas.
Yes.
All
right. MTG.
That's right.
All right, number 4. What do we got here? Fitting that we're playing.
You like to know?
I would like to know very much so.
Gilgamesh.
Oh.
So Gilgamesh is hard to pin down. He's from the Final Fantasy series. He's also like a Sumerian god or Babylonian god, whatever, hero, something like that.
Yeah.
One of those characters that Final Fantasy took and is just like, well, this is what it is now.
Yeah.
So Gilgamesh appears in Final Fantasy V, Final Fantasy I, Dawn of Souls, Final Fantasy IV, The After Years, Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy IX, Final Fantasy XI, Final Fantasy XII, Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings, Final Fantasy XIII, Final Fantasy XIII-2, Final Fantasy XIV, Final Fantasy Type 0, and Final Fantasy Dissidia 012, which is the second Dissidia game, which is the Final Fantasy fighting
the
game.
PSP game.
And then he's speculated to appear in Final Fantasy 15.
Nice.
So he changes a lot. You initially meet him as a villain, and he's just a bumbling idiot. Which is great. Like that's my favorite kind of villain. It's just awful.
hey guys, don't mind me. Whoa.
So like usually incompetent, but sometimes he's like really powerful. In 12, he was like one of the elite marks that you had to go after, which is like the toughest bosses in the game. Really, really tough stuff. Obviously in Dissidia, they're going to make him as competent as any of the other characters that you pick in a fighting game. So competent there,
right?
Type O or Type 0, he's given a lot more backstory, and it kind of explains and tethers him to the rest of the Final Fantasy universe. Because
nice.
He's the same character as he appears in every game. It's just in a different capacity, right?
Oh, cool, nice.
More or less. 9 was the questionable thing where it's just like some guy with 4 arms who plays cards and hunts treasure. Okay. He's always in possession of the Excalibur or the Excalibur or a couple of swords. That's his purpose, is to find the best weapons. In Final Fantasy 13, he's a store that sells weapons. So it's not actually him, but it's Gilgamesh Incorporated. Selling you weapons. And then in 13.2, he shows up as one of the Colosseum bosses. So my favorite Gilgamesh appearance, he's actually on your side. He takes up the Zentetsuken from Odin.
Yep.
Once Odin was slain
say that same
in Final
thing.
Fantasy VIII.
Yep.
I used to have the doll of him, like a little action figure of him.
Talk about a shocking moment.
It was.
Because you never, almost on par with Eris. Because
worse than Eris.
I mean, you see Odin, I was like, oh my god, Cypher just killed Odin, spoiler alert.
Odin's going to come in, he's going to save the day, Cypher's a badass, and Odin's like, yeah, puny mortal, I got this shit. And then Cypher just, and you just see Odin, his own move used against him, right, where the enemy just splits in half. Odin just,
yep. And I'm just like, are you serious? I was so happy because I'm gonna skip a boss fight. I got the random encounter, and I was just like, no.
But then who swoops in, takes the sword, and then forever after shows up to disappoint you by dealing 1 damage to all the enemies, but Gilgamesh.
Thank you, Gilgamesh.
Thanks, Gilgamesh.
Next.
So, I have his list of atrocities. I have incompetency because he's just bad. I don't even know if he fits anywhere on this chart that we have. His motives are kind of a mystery, but he's also just doing what Exdeath wants him to do in 5.
Right.
And then every time after that, he just kind of fights you because you're going after the sword he wants or something. Mm-hmm. So between high and meh tier. Nice. But he's definitely not just evil,
Yeah. That's a good choice.
Thanks.
I didn't see that coming. I'm glad you put that in there.
I like his character design too.
No, it is. It's really cool.
Really cool looking guy.
Speaking of cool looking guy and awesome character design, my number 4, this dude is going to rank high on the list of evil.
Wears a cow skull on his face.
That's right. Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat. This dude is a straight badass and just straight up evil. Ruler of the Outworld. He makes his first appearance in Mortal Kombat 2.
Mortal Kombat 2?
Yeah. After Shang Tsung fails to win the tournament and to secure entry into the
You didn't win your tournament. I'm mad.
Yeah, and then he finds a loophole and says, all right, we're gonna do another tournament right now, winner takes all type deal, and just dominates. I mean, that he is one of the coolest bosses because he talks so much trash while you're fighting him.
Yeah,
the whole sitting there, hands on his hip, and laughs at you and points and does like, you're such a piece of garbage, and it has all these quick teleport moves and oh my god.
Yeah.
He's just brutal. I mean, he just wants to rule everything. I think I'm getting his backstory right. He the old leader, he poisoned or killed to take over the throne of the Outworld, and basically, he just wants to invade and just kill and take over.
Just like conquering ruler kind of guy.
Just straight up, just doesn't really care.
Is he a god, or is he just like a guy?
He's not a god, but he has powers.
Okay.
But I don't think he's not a god like Raiden or any of the elder gods.
Okay.
But I remember in the movie the original Mortal
movie.
Kombat was badass.
It was so good.
And then in the second one, and he makes his appearance, then he kills Johnny Cage. And I'm just like, no.
Yeah, you
man.
can't go killing Johnny Cage.
But if you really want to see his true awesome backstory, play the Mortal Kombat the when they redid it.
Mm-hmm.
For PS3 when it came out, and they had 1, 2, and 3 back to back to back, and it just is awesome. So it really goes in depth about the background of Sector and Cyrax, how they became cyborgs, and because they were in human form, so they weren't just created.
Right.
So and just really cool how you really get to see from other characters how Cabal was formed and stuff like that. How he was a police officer with Stryker,
yeah.
And so just really awesome stuff. And then Shao Kahn comes and just cheats and ruins everything and just gets people killed, and I'm not a big fan of death.
So, and that's what's interesting to me about the Mortal Kombat mythos. You know, like I find it has really good lore for a fighting game.
Yeah.
A little convoluted and weird sometimes, but you know what isn't.
Yeah.
But the characters get killed off and then seemingly come back, and then in the latest one, didn't they kind of like put a stopper on that? They're like, well, these characters are actually dead, and like the whole point, the story point of that game is like we're gonna take some of them and bring them back, right?
Yeah, at
their kids come around, right?
Well, at the very end of the third one, Raiden makes like a calculated error and ends up getting like everybody killed.
Oh no!
And I think what had happened is if he defeated Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat, the Elder Gods would reverse what he had done. So they were brought back. And then the new one that just came out, it has Johnny Cage's daughter.
Right.
Him and Sonya are divorced and stuff like that. So of course
we're that far in the timeline of Mortal Kombat that they're divorced.
But his daughter comes up, and she actually is the one who ends up winning Mortal Kombat.
Perfect.
In the new one, she's an absolute badass.
Yeah.
And then you have Jackie Briggs, Jax's daughter, who is awesome.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see like kind of the next generation coming up to where you're going to see, like the parents and the other actually fading away, and you're going to have this new crew that's starting to come in, but they still have tie-ins to the old like lineage of the old family and stuff like that. So really, really cool, really well done.
And is Shao Kahn present in this one?
In the
newest one?
Yes.
And he's still a force to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. Really good stuff.
All right.
Check it out and hug it and kiss it. Probably the best Mortal Kombat out there by far.
Yeah, it was really good.
In terms of campaign mode, one of the best stories that I've played in a long time. So that was my number 4.
So shit tier?
Yeah,
because he's just evil, right? He's just a jerk.
Yeah, he's a.
They don't like give him a backstory as like, oh, he was mistreated as a child.
Right? No, yeah, he's just he just wants power and just wants to rule everything. So he's just he's a piece of work. Piece of work.
Very nice. I like Shao Kahn. Mortal Kombat.
That was my
that was a good laugh too.
Thank you. That was my evil laugh.
I thought that was just your laugh.
No,
and that's your Shao Kahn.
That's my Shao Kahn. Yeah. Anybody want to hire me for some laughing voice acting? Send me an email at cashrevive@gmail.com.
You know what music this is?
This sounds very familiar.
It's from FTL.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Fighting the evil empire or resistance or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah.
Look at you. You're like the musical whiz, dude.
Thanks.
Number 3. Already down to our 3s. I
know. That's weird. Handsome Jack from Borderlands 2 and thereafter. Funny villain. Like that. To me, like no matter what you do, like if you're just a evil jerk and you kill lots of people, as long as you're funny, right. I like you. No? Is that bad logic?
No, it's not bad logic. I can see that. I was like that way for the governor in Walking Dead for a little while.
Oh, wow.
He cracked me up for a little bit.
Yeah. And then he found out he had a head closet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's just deep-rooted issues that are just showing themselves now.
So Handsome Jack, you kind of like chat with him throughout the game. And he's funny. He says a lot of weird things, and he's kind of charming. What you learn about him is I'll just list his atrocities right here. He had his own grandmother murdered because she mistreated him.
Interesting.
He took over the Hyperion Corporation, took credit for opening the first vault in the first game, and then he kind of instilled his own dictatorship over Pandora, which is the planet that you're on in the second game. He tortured the holder of the vault key to get it from her, and I found out like through research they credit her with having like mild autism. So you can torture an autistic person, like
wow.
You're just bad. Imprisoning his own daughter and using her, as a key to open the vault.
That's crazy.
So just a piece
of crap.
Yeah, really.
Goodness gracious.
Just absolutely bad. And I remember watching. I think it was a Matthew Patrick. Matt Pat brought him up a couple times. One of his theories was that Handsome Jack was actually the good guy. and that the vault hunters or whatever, the bad guys, and like he goes into it a lot better than I will here, but kind of made me think about him, and then I just read all this stuff and I was like, no way, he's just a jerk. He's just an awful person.
Theory debunked.
Yeah, and I mean, you play as him in the there's Borderlands 2, and then there's one after that, and I can't remember what it is, but basically sort of like an Origins game where Handsome Jack is one of the playable characters along with a couple of the other cast members, and those other people betray Handsome Jack and sort of like steal the opening of the vault from him. So,
interesting.
You know, it's very interesting. They do like a good job of explaining him as a character rather than just having like this evil person that you're going against, right? Because that's what games are doing more and more, is putting a face on evil. So, I don't know. Handsome Jack's up there. He's a real piece of shit.
Yes, he is.
But he's funny while he does it, and that's why he's my number 3.
Nice.
And he's got a fake face.
Nice.
He's not really handsome. He's actually messed up.
Really?
Yeah, he just wears like a cosmetic, good-looking face.
Interesting. I played the first Borderlands. I haven't played the second one. I've heard it's a lot better.
It is a lot better. Borderlands 1 was absolutely boring. Yeah, but Borderlands 2, pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll check it out on stream.
I got it.
Nice.
So
I like it.
yeah.
My number 3 won't be super long, quick, but Dark Link from the Zelda series made his first appearance in Zelda 2.
Okay.
Was the final boss of the game. And ultimately, like, fighting against his, like, inner demons, like, being brought out, and he's fighting against himself, which I think is, which is really deep. I mean, for me, because, I mean, you know, a lot of us, maybe not a lot of us, but, I mean, we always struggle with fighting against ourselves on certain things. So it's really interesting that, you know, that bringing out in this series where you know who the evil Ganondorf, you know, in the Zelda series, but then at the end of this, you don't expect that you're fighting against ultimately yourself, you know, in this image. So it's really cool that he struggles with this good and evil and stuff like that, and that they present it so early in the series, and he makes multiple appearances later on down the road and stuff like that.
Right.
He becomes a pretty big character, and you know, Dark Link is just, you know, when you hear that, you're just like, wow, you know, he's not just a bad character. He's
all the bad things.
Bad things of the hero,
Yeah,
and it's important that, you know, every hero has like somewhat of a dark side. You know, no one is perfect and just pure and good. Everybody is just the people who struggle to fight against that, to keep themselves from going over to the dark side. Come on, Vader. You know. But I just thought that was really cool when I was playing it growing up and reading into it. You know, I just thought, like, just fighting against himself. I just thought that's just really cool that you know, not only in gaming but in real life people can relate to that, because you always have those struggles.
Well, it's an interesting thing for them to do. I'm sorry, my words just like.
Trust me.
Interesting thing for them to do with Link, because you always think of him as like a very wholesome, light-driven character, right? Like he's just pure good.
Yeah.
And for them to say like, oh well, now like this is all his evil aspects, like surfacing or being personified. You're like, what evil aspects?
Especially because they always portray Link as a child.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's a full-grown adult, you know. But as a child, like you're like, does he have sociopathic tendencies? You know, like what is going, you know, like being developed this young. I mean, on Link to the Past, he was like 12 years old. Yeah. I mean, he's just a little kid, you know. So it's really interesting that it's present. He's gifted like all this power, but like on the other hand, he has to struggle with that. I just thought it was really cool, and that's why he had to make it on the list. I mean, Dark Link is just a really cool character to have, and it's not pure evil, you know. So it's himself, but still a worthy villain. Fighting against yourself is a worthy opponent.
Would you say he is only obeying his nature?
I think so. Human nature.
I forgot to rate. What's that guy's name? What was my number 3?
Handsome Jack.
Handsome Jack. Yeah. Who I think is well, I think he's retaliating against his misdeeds. But I mean, if you're gonna say like, oh, my mother mistreated me, that's why I killed all those people. Not really good villain material.
Yeah.
Not a good reason.
Yeah. My mother mistreated me. That guy getting his mail is so gonna get it. Apparently, that's the only voice I can do.
That's a good voice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's my Brooklyn voice.
Oh, it's a good Brooklyn voice. I've never been to Brooklyn, but I assume they all talk like that.
Every single person.
I'll go there one day and be like, how come you guys don't sound like Matt?
Yeah, here, listen, this is someone that was imitating you.
He knows what he's talking about. You guys are all
He
pretenders.
was born and raised in Brooklyn. He knows what's up.
Flat out lie.
I know. Number 2 on the list. We're getting close.
Yeah, we are.
Insane.
This is really quick.
Ooh.
My number 2. Delita. Or Delita? How would you say that? Delita.
I would say Delita.
I've always said Delita.
Well, I would allow it. Potato, you know.
Delita potato.
I like it.
Delita Hyrule. I don't want to call him Hyrule. Hyrule.
Just say Heimrall.
Delita Heimrall.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy Tactics. He's a really interesting character because he starts off as like a playable character on your team. You get to like deploy him and stuff. Final Fantasy Tactics obviously is a little strategy RPG game,
which I need to get into, but I just have not been able to.
At least what you should do if you don't want to play it is just look up like a story summary on YouTube or something. I'm sure someone's done it, where they compile all of the story. And then you can just go through and experience that, because it is really cool. It's really in-depth. It's a lot of like kingdom infighting. It's a battle for the throne. And what Delita does is he's on your side. You're a Beowulf. The Beowulfs are backing this guy called Larg, who's one of the lions in this War of the Lions. The other guy is Gultana. They're both jerks. And you're kind of like part of the aristocracy. Delita is this like poor orphan guy along with his sister. His sister ends up getting killed.
Oh, no.
Because of an order that your brother made. And so Delita's like, well, the Beowulfs suck, you know. So, and then he decides that he's, like tired of this war. So he's just going to get involved in everything going on, but he's just going to be loyal to himself and betray everybody. And, he kidnaps the queen. Wow. Shouldn't do that.
That's a death sentence.
Yeah, he does a lot of things. He works up his ranks. He plays to Gultana's side, ends up assassinating him, betrays the Beowulfs at one point. So, he's just out for himself. Ends up becoming king. And
interesting.
Uses your character, the main character of the game, as a pawn to sort of deal with this whole understory of the Zodiac Braves, which are these like mythical creatures or whatever.
Right.
It uses you to kind of deal with them while he, pulls the strings on the War of the Lions. And so it's really interesting. The game does a lot better job of explaining it than I do. But basically, Delita takes all the fame. He becomes king, and he doesn't mention Ramza at all. So,
wow.
Ramza just, becomes a bum, dies in the street. Delita's there. He's the king because he ends up marrying the queen. The queen realizes that she's being used as a pawn because Delita just wanted to be a ruler or whatever. Tries to kill him, doesn't succeed, and Delita kills her.
Wow.
So, it's so messed up, and, the fact that he's, I say like a lot. That's what Cheryl said. She listened to our podcast. She's like, you say like a lot. Yeah. I do. So Delita, he's on your side. He betrays you. That, to me, I hate being betrayed. That's number one for me. You're just a bad villain if you betray me. Regicide, murder, kidnapping royalty. He's just doing it all. Right. And all for himself. All for self-gain. So that's number 2.
Yeah, I can absolutely see why. That's pretty. I didn't know all that because, like I said, I just played briefly Tactics, maybe an hour or so. Yeah. I just couldn't get into the fighting style. It was just too slow. But that sounds like it's a pretty awesome story.
It really is. It really and with the so the initial release of Final Fantasy Tactics, it lost a lot of things to localization, like Final Fantasy VII did.
Right.
But then when they remastered the game, Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions or whatever, got a lot better, got a lot more clear. They added voice acting to the scenes. They redid all the scenes to be like this new 3D artwork, very nice. And they completely just refurnished the story, so it's a lot sharper and a lot clearer and a lot better.
Nice.
Very, very compelling.
Very cool.
Yeah, one of my favorite games of all times, and Delita is just a bag of shit. So.
Yeah, nice. It sounds like it. Sounds like it. Well, good choice.
Thank you.
What is he on the list? On the
I'd say he's probably mid tier to high tier, right? Because he's not a villain because of the situation he's in. He's you could say that because he's like involved in the war or whatever, but he put himself there, so I would say he's retaliating against misdeeds done to him. Because this whole thing hinges on his sister being killed, the only person in the world that meant anything to him, being killed at the hands of the war, the aristocracy.
Right.
So, yeah, definitely high tier.
Interesting. Now we have to see who's a bigger piece of crap.
Okay.
Your number 2 or my number 2? We're sticking with the Final Fantasy theme here. We're going in to Kefka.
From
Final Fantasy VI.
Arguably one of the best villains in the Final Fantasy series as a whole.
He is just... They invented the word sociopath for Kefka. I mean, this dude is nuts. I mean, the dude, I was reading one of the texts from the game and stuff like that, and it's just like there's nothing better than the sound of like 100 people, the cries of 100 people shouting out in death, and when he's poisoning the river and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like the dude just wants to see everybody dead.
Okay.
You know, he started out as like a right hand man of
did he?
of the king or whatever, and then killed him and just took over and then just started. The dude is just nuts, like flat out Joker nuts.
Yeah, and he dresses as a clown.
Yeah,
too,
and,
right?
and he looks like, so he's just has a lot of resemblances. And he just he has this like maniacal laugh.
Yeah.
And the dude is just he has no care in the world other than just basically wanting to watch the world burn.
Okay.
And it's just I think a majority of people listening have probably heard of Kefka or played through 6, so they can visualize just how. I love it. I really want it. 6 is definitely. If I had to pick a Final Fantasy right now to replay like over again, I think it would be 6 because I just I haven't played it in a couple of years and I've been really really wanting to play through it again. So that has to be added to my list. Ooh yeah.
Is this a villain song? I put this on the list. I can't think of who this. What is this?
What's the name of it?
I don't know. I'm waiting for it to come up.
Oh.
It's the Black Mages. Decisive battle from Final Fantasy VI, so perfect timing.
All right. Hey,
okay.
that works.
I didn't even recognize it. So think about this.
This isn't the...
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't the boss. It's not Kefka's music, but
it's the boss music.
Yeah, boss music. Yep.
So, Sephiroth kills one of your party members, right?
Yes.
In Final Fantasy V, you have this party member called Galuf, whatever, who dies. Final Fantasy IV, like a handful of your party members die. Final Fantasy VIII, Renoa dies, but then you get her back, right? And then in 9, Zidane dies, but you get him back. Or he thinks he's going to die, he comes back. Something happens with Zidane, he's like a... whatever. So in 6, no one dies.
No.
Kefka doesn't manage to kill a single one of your group members.
He just kills everyone else.
Just kills a lot of other people.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Do you...
Which is amazing for the cast that 6 had. You figured one of those members somebody would have perished.
Someone's got to be expendable, but no.
When Shadow got close to dying, he just dipped out.
That's right.
I'm not getting paid enough for this.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Depending on how you play the game, Shadow can die.
Oh, okay.
Shadow can be permanently lost, I think, depending on the choices that you make.
Interesting.
When because Kefka actually succeeds, and one of the few villains to succeed in destroying the world.
Right.
And so, like, the second half of 6, you play in the destroyed world of Kefka.
Right.
So some of your party members may perish depending on the choices that you make. So I'm glad you brought that up. That saves my argument. He could potentially kill some of your party members, and that makes me upset. You know what I mean? Like that makes you more of a villain than if you killed like the whole world.
Right. You killed my one party member. Take out that town. They're doing nothing.
They're just a bunch of schlubs. Yeah. I can't even buy a potion in that town. They're
peeing
worthless.
In the street. I'm saving lives. Again, Brooklyn accent. Don't know what's going on.
Final Fantasy VI took place in Brooklyn.
I noticed the similarities.
One of the boroughs of New York.
Yeah. Which one? The end of the world version of the world, or the luscious?
I'd have to say the end of the world version.
We love our New Yorkers.
Brooklyn, you're all right.
So Kefka, evil. He would have to be. I mean, he's in it for his own game. I mean, he just really doesn't care. Ultimately, if he die, I mean, he just wants to kill everyone and everything.
Yeah. So
he's not really in it for like wealth or fame. Like he just wants people dead.
Yeah. So his motives are a mystery, or he's just evil?
I think he's just evil.
He's shit tier.
He's shit tier. Good job. Nice. Good job, Kefka.
Such a bad villain that he doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. Piece of garbage.
I don't think we're gonna have an Elder God tier villain.
I don't know. My number one might.
Okay.
I'll have to wait and see. But we are moving into our number ones, though.
That's crazy.
So far, you're dominating this list. I'm just going to say that.
I have more problems with people.
It's good, though.
It's easier to find
You
fault.
have you have much better explanations about these than I do, so I like it. I've learned a lot through your explanations of these. Me, I'm just a bumbling idiot.
Thanks, because I sound like I'm rambling.
No, you sound very good.
Aww.
So I'm ready to hear your number one. That was me ending the song.
That was
going,
great.
You like that?
Thanks for that. So
That's all I'm here for.
I'm gonna giggle when I say his name. Garrosh Hellscream.
Yes.
From World of Warcraft, Mists of Pandaria. Introduced in Burning Crusade, had a run spanning till Warlords of Draenor. He was the final boss of Mists of Pandaria. If you treat their final raid and the boss of that raid as the final boss of the game,
right?
Expansion. So, I have here my first note about him is Warcraft's biggest asshole. So he starts off as kind of this apathetic loser of the horde that remained on Draenor, which is the Outlands version of it that you go to in Burning Crusade. You meet him, and he's just kind of like, yeah, the orcs are garbage, you're garbage, I don't care. And then Thrall's like, no, you got to have like pride in your people, man. Come on, orcs are great. Kind of inspires him to be a leader, invites him into the horde as we know it. Wrath of the Lich King, he does a lot. He goes to Northrend, heads the Horde's forces there. And then in Cataclysm, Thrall's like, I'm done being war chief. I want to go play with the elements. And so he invites Garrosh to be war chief of the Horde, and upsets like a lot of the other Horde members. Garrosh starts doing all this nasty crap that the Horde are like, this is kind of jeopardizing what we want with the Alliance. If you're going to like burn all their forests, they're going to take issue with that, and then we had to divide resources to fight the Alliance and whatever expansion bad guy that's been cooked up,
right.
like in Cataclysm was a giant dragon.
Yeah, best expansion yet.
I know. I try not to crap talk it, but it's my least favorite.
As it is a lot of people, which is okay.
Which is fine, So the first major thing he does that pissed me off is he burns a lot of the forests in Ashenvale. The Alliance are like, hey, you better stop that or we're going to end our truce with you. And Cairn Bloodhoof, leader of the Tauren, my favorite race of people, is like, Garrosh, you're being a jerk. I'm going to challenge you for leadership of the Horde because you're just sucking. You're just garbage. Yeah. And Garrosh is like, okay, fine. Tauren piece of filth isn't going to beat me. They enter a duel, and Cairn's got the upper hand. He's going to beat Garrosh into a bloody pulp, and then suddenly he is paralyzed, and Garrosh kills him. And I'm crying right now.
It was brutal.
So what you learn is that Cairn's old enemy, Magath the Grim Totem, garbage piece of dirt, Tauren, whatever, had poisoned Garrosh's weapons, so that when he actually did get a glancing blow on Cairn, it paralyzed him, and Garrosh was able to kill him. So
he's a cheater.
He didn't cheat himself. He didn't know that Magatha did that. He actually, in retaliation, Cairn's son Bane is going to go after Magatha, and Garrosh was basically like, you're on your own, wench. Like nobody dishonors me that way. So that was good of him, but still a dirtbag.
But didn't he break off Cairn's horn and he wears it like around his neck? Didn't he like snap part of it off as like a?
I hope he didn't do that.
I thought he did.
But he might do that as like, hey, this is what happens when you challenge my leadership, right?
I thought he snapped it off and actually like wore it like around his neck as like
piece of trash.
Yeah.
So Then he goes after Sylvanas. Sylvanas, is, like I mentioned in the last part, we talk about Warcraft a lot, but that's just because I like the game.
There's so much to talk about.
And there's so much to talk about. Sylvanas, uses the Valkyr to save her people. When Garrosh learns of this, he's like, "That is really evil, and I don't like you playing God that way." So isolates her. He does something to upset Vol'jin too, and that all leads to his persecution. They want him out. They don't want him to be war chief anymore. That leads to the siege of Orgrimmar, and then at the end of Mists of Pandaria, you finally get to beat him up. Don't get to kill him because he's such an awful person, but you still have to give him a
trial.
A trial.
Yeah.
So they want to do that. They want to have him in Pandaria. He escapes, of course, right? Because he's just an evil dirtbag, and then he goes to an alternate dimension version of Draenor and meets his dad, Grom Hellscream, and then tells him all about Azeroth and is like, "Hey, take your Iron Horde over there, kill them, because they're jerks or whatever." So that's the whole reason for Warlords of Draenor. It's the whole reason we got that expansion is because of Garrosh.
Thanks a lot, Garrosh.
Thanks, Garrosh. So his list of atrocities: killed Karen Bloodhoof, betrays the Horde, misleads them, orders the destruction of Theramore. I didn't get into that, but he blows Jaina Proudmoore's city to dust. That's a fun little scenario you get to do. And it, pretty much breaks the truce of the Alliance and the Horde at that point. And then orders the invasion of Pandaria. So why you'd want to mess
did a
with
lot.
Pandaria.
I mean, this character, it's not like it's just, oh, hey, we're bringing this character in. Like, the background for this character is massive, and it's not just okay, he just turned evil overnight. I mean, this dude, so many things has happened.
You got to see him grow in evilness.
And just all the people he's encountered and screwed over, and it made him into your number one. It's a fantastic choice.
You don't kill Karen Bloodhoof. That's my number one thing. No.
Yeah.
If you do that, you're evil.
But that's where time travel comes in with the new stuff, and now he's in Legion and all this kind of stuff. So,
Is he in Legion? I hope he's in Legion.
Well, he was in the beginning, the siege.
Bane is.
Oh, Bane is.
Bane is, not Karen. Karen's
incredibly
dead.
Sorry for getting your hopes up right there. It's wait a minute, are you serious?
Did I miss something?
That goes into Matt's thorough research. So my number one, well, actually on the list.
A shit tier. He's lust for power and he's evil. And he's just a dirtbag.
So I almost feel a little embarrassed bringing up my number one because
that's fine.
Well, not that I'm embarrassed.
I shouted at you in a text message, but that's fine.
But going up against Garrosh, I chose the Dark Queen from Battletoads. And now...
Cute name.
Now, and the reason why I did this is because her planet... this is her planet that you're going on to rescue, I think, Pimple and his girlfriend or whatever. That's who she kidnapped. So her planet has these things built into it. So not only is he screwing them over, you're screwing me over by having me play through these levels. I mean, she set up the turbo tunnel.
The turbo tunnel.
What is the purpose? What was the purpose of that? What was the purpose of the snake maze level? I mean, why did you build these things?
She's demented.
Yeah, I mean, there's something so wrong and evil that it's just in order to rescue him, you're putting him through these horrible tests and trials to rescue him. And
why did she kidnap Pimple and his girlfriend?
Just to kidnap him.
Okay.
Yeah. And the story wasn't
kidnap you and bring you to another planet.
Yeah, they took you to planets, and you had to go down and try to rescue him. And at first I thought they crash landed and there's on the planet, but no, that was her planet. So everything that you go through is just yeah, you know what? I want to build a turbo tunnel that's just so rage quit inducing that people are going to hate this game.
Could it have been used as a food chute?
I don't think so.
They just throw a bunch of food in there and it gets shot directly into. No,
maybe that was his original purpose.
Never explained.
No, unfortunately they never go into it. Yeah, it's just sound badass too.
So glad they got rid of it. It's not in 14 anymore.
Not in 14 anymore. The music in the first one was the first version was so awesome.
But the music in the new one is
no, don't get me
also
wrong.
epic.
Yeah. But there were some sick tracks from the first one that didn't make it over.
Final Fantasy talk.
So yeah, we're gonna do 3 podcasts. We're gonna do a top 5. We're gonna have a World of Warcraft podcast,
and
we're gonna have a Final Fantasy podcast. We'll have 3 episodes a week.
There you go.
So,
jeez.
So, yeah, that'd be a little brutal.
A lot of work.
We'll just do 3 half-hour episodes. So yeah, Dark Queen. I compared to the massive background detail you went into, which was brilliant.
When you put it the way you just did, some evil lady built a planet just to make you rage quit a game.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there's no other way. It's not like you're just like walking through and like random animals are attacking you because you're fighting. You're literally going through the levels of hell. I mean, it's absolutely insane. You know why? Why did I have to drop down like a 6-mile trench full of lightning and all these other things? Like what was the purpose of this?
Why is it filled with lightning?
It's just like one day I'm gonna kidnap someone and
One
force people to go through this just to earn the right to get them back. That's just evil, and that's why she's on the list.
You should have had her on your list last week.
I should have her on the podcast.
The top 5 bays.
I didn't need to ask her.
Oh, invite her.
Top 5 bays, yeah.
And to invite her in for a little interview. So
Yeah.
why did you do what you did, Miss Dark Queen?
Well, because basically I wanted some spam, but they were out.
Oh,
so I
Jane.
saw this frog, and I said, you gotta come to my planet and make spam.
That sounds like the girl from The Nanny. Oh, was that woman's
Fran
name?
Drescher?
Fred Drescher. There you go.
Jeez.
They're going to make a Battletoads movie
That's
starring Fran
insulting of Fran
Drescher
Drescher.
as the Dark Queen. So good top 5. I'm giving it to you. I think yours is a sweeping victory this week. Let me look too. Plague Knight, Alduin close, but I like Plague Knight.
Oh no,
Gilgamesh-
Alduin wins that one. Come on.
Gilgamesh over Shao Kahn.
I will take that one.
Handsome Jack over Dark Link.
I think Dark Link's more iconic.
Dark Link is more iconic, but Handsome Jack in terms of being a villain is just
straight up garbage.
Yeah. Delita and Kefka, very close.
I would love to see them in a battle.
That would be. I mean, those two would team up, and who would end up?
Oh yeah, they wouldn't fight each other. They would just hold hands.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Maybe kiss. I don't know.
Ooh.
And then Garrosh over the Dark Queen.
Garrosh would break the Dark Queen in half.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He would just look at her and she'd be like, "Woo!" and then she would just dive down her own trench.
Oh God.
So honorable mentions. We don't really have any honorable mentions this week.
I had one. I just didn't write it in there.
Sephiroth. I'm just going to throw it out there. Sephiroth as an honorable mention.
Okay.
I'm sure there are people that would be screaming at me. And,
if you didn't have him in there. Right?
And the main person from Portal.
GLaDOS. GLaDOS was actually on my initial list.
Okay.
But I took her off because she's a robot and just whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm a lion. Maybe I'm a lion. This is when you fight the lion.
Yep.
Your necklace.
Final
you fight your
Fantasy
necklace.
Yeah.
In 8, yeah. Very good. I'm glad you mentioned GLaDOS. Remember when you were talking about fart noises?
Yes, I do.
Okay. My honorable mention was the Great Mighty Pooh from Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yes.
Just because he's a singing piece of shit.
That's awesome. That's the best 3 honorable mentions ever.
It's like the 13th S drop on this show. I'm so sorry, guys. I usually don't curse, but...
Well, they're villains.
Yeah.
It's justified.
You had to.
And we actually have on the tier, that's actually the name of one of the things.
I couldn't help it.
So you
It's
can't
just
help
that
it.
it's the system
we
we're
couldn't
using.
say poop. We have to say what it actually says. You know.
Yeah.
So
Matt's going to fire me later.
Never. So those are good honorable mentions. We have one question that I picked out for the Mognet, our mailbag. Is let me bring it up here. Is do we play any other games other than video games?
Oh, those exist?
Yes, apparently they do. And for me, I go old school with board games. I love to play Risk.
You love to play Risk.
I love to play. If I can get people long enough for 8 to 10 hours to get a full game of Risk going, I am your man.
No thanks. Do you play any like variations of Risk, or is it always just plain old Risk?
Oh,
red
no.
and blue?
I have Lord of the Rings Risk, and I
Nice.
have Star Wars Risk as well.
You should get World of Warcraft Risk.
Do they have that?
I'm sure they do. They have World of Warcraft Monopoly.
They do have World of Warcraft Monopoly. They have like everything Monopoly. They have like
Yeah,
my
that's
dog
true.
crapped on my lawn Monopoly. There are so many Monopoly games out there. But yeah, so between that and like D&D, those are really my two.
Very cool.
Yeah. What about you?
I play a little game called Avoid Doing My Job.
Nice.
No. Matt has a game that I like to play, but it's very like involved and very heavy to set up. I think you played it too, Mansions of Madness.
Oh yeah.
I like that. What's the other one? I play Munchkin a lot with. Well, not a lot. I used to play Munchkin a lot with Cheryl and Nick, and whoever would play it with me. Munchkin? You ever play Munchkin?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And Jenga.
Nice. And Settlers of Catan. I wanted to put that. Settlers of Catan.
Settlers of Catan.
Love that game.
There you go.
Love that game. So, a good question. Thank you guys for sending them in.
Nice
and if you're
question.
always listening and wondering, but Matt, I want to send questions in too. Where could I possibly go to send in questions?
Well, let me tell you.
We're going to give you that answer right now.
Matt?
Me?
You.
All right. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at Cash Revive. So be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes and Shout Engine. YouTube, maybe. don't,
Thank you for reading that.
Don't know. But importantly, check us out on GeekStreetStation.com. You can find a form on there that will be sent directly to our email. Send us topic suggestions, just general feedback, and ask us questions for our Mognet.
Yeah.
Since I'm in my new house now, so I'm going to start getting back doing the live Facebook videos. I'm going to show you guys more of my game room and some games, and if you guys want to get in on that,
Nice.
Be sure to join in, all that good stuff. So, Brian, anything you want to say? Oh, yeah, one more thing I got to announce. Next Saturday,
Yes.
if you're in Orlando, come out to the BART on Mills Avenue. It's their 4th anniversary. Brian and I are going to be there all night doing a live open mic podcast. So,
If you're not in Orlando, come to Orlando.
yeah, exactly. Fly for the one night. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss it. The BART is renting out the place next door, so we got double the space, double the games, and just drinks out the wazoo. So, like I said, open mic podcast, you can come on up and just chat with us, talk about games, talk about, what you're wearing underneath your clothes. Doesn't really matter. We're really open to any kind of discussion. So come on up, have a good time, and hopefully we'll see you next Saturday. We're going to be there at 4 o'clock is when we're going to be there setting up. So like 4 to midnight, something like that. It's going to
You're
be a long
getting me
night.
up early, Matt.
I tell you, I know. Or anything you want to say before we cheese and rice it out of here?
I just wanted to mention I'm reading a book right now called How to Smell Colors. It's going to teach me how to smell colors. I'm also writing that book, so
Nice.
yeah,
Very good.
I'll let you know how that goes.
We'll find out which color is your favorite next week. We'll see you guys later.
It's orange.